because we are going to welcome our NFL and Jet insider, Ira from Staten Island. Ira, are you with us? Ira.
Mike, Anthony, how are you?
All right, Ira.
J-E-T-S, Jets.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Ira, we'd like to tell our viewers that literally, as we're filming this, you were at Jet training camp today. You were going to come in studio.
Where else would he be?
Where else would he be? So, as a matter of fact, as our embedded reporter, just give us a little thumbnail sketch of what you saw today, Ira.
Well, what I saw today was the defensive line completely dominate the offense.
Really?
Whether it was the first string, the second string, third string, it didn't make a difference. Muhammad Wilkerson almost got his first interception as an NFL player today. He knocked down a Sanchez pass and almost caught it. Tua made plays. Kendrick Ellis made plays.
Great.
The linebackers made plays. The Jets could not run the ball against the Jets.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Well, you know, that'll help the offense, Anthony, because they won't come across any better defense than they do in practice.
Right. Let's hope.
Right?
Let's hope.
Let's hope.
Now, only one bad note today is that Mango did go down in practice.
Wow.
I'm really not quite sure. There's some rumors it was a stinger. He walked off fine. It was pretty intense goal line drill. A fight did break out. Mike, like you said, fights have been breaking out almost every day at camp. One thing is Plaxico Burress.
How did he look?
You know what? They had him just going out for passes. Between you and me, I'm not a doctor. He looked perfectly fine. He was cutting fine. He was catching everything. But when they started going on 11 and there was some hitting, they took him off the field. So I'm sure they must have some type of program set up the way they want to break him in. I heard Rex say today that they're hoping he'll play about a half a dozen plays on Monday night against Houston. And we'll see. But to me right now, I think he's going to have to get a month of the real season to get his legs. So I would expect Mason to be the number 2. And when they go 3 sets, with a 3-wide set or 4 wide receivers, Mason will go into the slot, and I think Flax comes into the game.
You know, Ira, you mentioned Rex. Let's go over to our next graphic, and we're going to pop up a graphic from the Daily News, the back page. And the title of the back page was Tats Crazy. And it got a lot of play that he got a tattoo on his leg. Ira, you're there at training. Is this guy a rock star? I mean, is this guy, just give us a little insight with you being there. Give us a little insight into Sexy Rexy.
Sexy Rex.
Well, I'll tell you something. He is a rock star. It's amazing. First of all, he comes across as this very boisterous, confident guy, and he is. But I know a lot of people who aren't Jet fans kind of think that he's over the top. But you know what? The guy's a sweetheart. He's a great guy. Whether he gets tattoos, whatever he does, he's just a regular guy, and he loves doing what he does. And I think he will eventually win a Super Bowl, whether it's this year, next year. Hopefully it's sooner than later.
Anthony, I want to ask you a question. Rex, with the predictions, do you think it's helpful, or do you think it just doesn't matter, or do you think it's kind of...
I think at this point, it was like Manny Ramirez, Manny being Manny. It's Rex being Rex. You almost come to expect that. It's not shocking anymore. He's gonna say his team's going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, he thinks it helps motivate his team. Fine.
All right. We're going to go over to our next graphic because, Ira, I hearken back to when I had you in here last year, and I said something. I said, you know what, and this is going to sound crazy, but I'd like to see Nnamdi Asomugha come to the Jets because, getting back to Rex Ryan, he's blitz happy. We all know that. Could you imagine the Jets with 2 shutdown corners? And you know, Ira, the Jets were thinking along with me that way because they made a big run at this guy. It might have been better off that they didn't get him because, it's like when there always has to be a limit how far you will go, how much guaranteed money you will give. But you know that the Jets made a huge run at Asomugha, and for better or for worse, they fell a little short, and they went to the Philadelphia Eagles, who are building what they call a dream team.
It would have been fascinating to watch But I was very skeptical of it because I just felt if they had signed Asamoah, then you know what? Probably 3 players, maybe 4 players they couldn't sign. Maybe players like, oh, you want to take Eric Smith or you want to take Wayne Hunter or Cromartie. They wouldn't have been able to bring these guys in. And I always feel better to have depth and very good quality than to have one superstar and a bunch of C players around you.
Okay, you know, Ira, you're very, very high on a particular player. My brother wants to mention him to you because quite frankly, we've not seen him. But Anthony, go ahead.
Ira, I got to ask you about Jeremy Curley. And I'm actually a little bit concerned. I know you last time you were pretty high on him, but you look on the depth chart, and they have him, you know, running back kickoffs, running back punts, possible wildcat, possible slot receiver.
Camp, I think punt returns and kick returns are a no-brainer. I think it'll be a limited wildcat. I'm going to say 25 catches, which I know is a little on the high side, but I think he's probably a lock to get 20 catches. And I think he's going to be a big-time player this year and come in the future for the Jets.
Can't wait to see him.
Anthony, I have to tell you.
Can't wait to see this guy.
Ira tells me that he has hands, drops nothing. And, I mean, wait till you hear this. He actually made a comparison to Wes Welker. So, I mean, this would be Ira.
How did he last to the 5th round?
Because what happened was, from reports I've heard, his 40 speed at the combine wasn't that great. And you know what? He doesn't have breakaway speed. He's the type of guy that probably a fast corner is going to catch from behind, but he's just so quick getting off the line, and he cuts quick in his route running. If you guys remember Dedrick Ward.
Dedrick Ward, yeah. Dedrick Ward, okay.
He's very much like that, but a little bigger and a little quicker. And
Excellent.
Here, like I'll give you an example. They were doing the punt return drill today. And what they've been doing all summer, with one hand, they have to hold the ball, and with another hand, they have to catch the punt. And guess what? He caught everyone.
Great.
You know, Ira, we're going to talk about the receiving core a little bit more, but we're going to go over to our next graphic. And Mark Sanchez is being counseled by Tom Moore. And as we all know, Tom Moore was the former offensive coordinator of the Colts. And basically in this picture, he's basically saying, here's what Peyton did. So tell us a little bit about that dynamic. Does this affect Schottenheimer in any way? Do you think this will benefit Sanchez? What do you think of this relationship? Tell us a little bit about it, if you've observed it.
Oh, okay. I think, first of all, I didn't think he'd be as involved as he is. And I think it's a win-win for everybody, the organization, I think for Shotty, and I think for Sanchez. Because this guy has 35, 40 years in the business. With the knowledge he has, he's only going to help the Jets. And I'll give you an example. Last year in the red zone, I think they finished like 30th in the league. Really very, very bad. They had like a 40% scoring percentage. They had 44 catches in the red zone. Out of the 44 catches, 14 were by Holmes and Edwards. Now, they should have had more than that because Edwards was a tall target. Now, it's not a reflection on Shotty. I'm not saying that, but maybe, once again, Schottenheimer has been an offensive coordinator for 6 years. Moore has been in the business 30-plus years. There's something he sees. Maybe he use a double tight end set, which I think you're going to see a lot more the Jets will be using this year. So I just think, it doesn't affect Schottenheimer in any way but a positive.
I'm going to ask my brother his opinion of Schottenheimer, but I think, Anthony, you kind of know my opinion. There's some games that I think that his game plan is nothing short of genius. I just love the feel of it. But then there's other games that I think that they go into some games, and I just can't help scratching my head saying, what kind of game plan was this? Including the game that we were at in person, the inaugural game at the new stadium when they played against the Baltimore Ravens, and they did not throw the ball down the field once.
Well, that one comes to mind, and certainly the the AFC Championship game against Pittsburgh. I don't think it was one of his better efforts.
I agree.
You don't know sometimes if they just didn't want to take the training wheels off of Sanchez, and so now he's in his third year. I think they got to really come out flying, and I think they have every intention of doing that. And let's hope that the offense is cohesive. We're going to talk about the wide receivers. I think there's going to be some learning curve involved here, so that when he starts feeling comfortable with the receivers, he's got some big targets there, and hopefully that'll work out.
Let's go over to the next graphic, because no bigger target than Plaxico Burress himself from a height standpoint. He's a nice big target. We know that Eli Manning, that was his safety blanket. I mean, he would throw the ball up and he would go up and get it. Ira, you've been there. Tell us, because actually, Ira, you touted this one. You went last year, you looked ahead and you said, if Braylon Edwards gets himself jammed up with this DWI, you said, I could see, and me and my brother looked at it, he said, we weren't even thinking that far ahead, because quite frankly, he was still behind bars. He was still in jail. So, Ira, we give you kudos for calling that, by the way.
Nice job.
And now that the Jets got him, tell us, what do we have? Does he have anything left? How does he look on the field?
Well, once again, I haven't seen him in contact drills except for just running some pass patterns. I was amazed how big he is. I didn't realize the height and the length, his arm length or wingspan, however they call it. It's just unbelievable. And I think he was brought in to improve the red zone. I mean, he's going to be, once he has his legs, he's going to be a major target for Sanchez. Now, this is going to be a big deal for Sanchez because his completion percentage, except for the playoffs, which goes up to about 60%, always is about 53, 54. Now, all of a sudden, as Plaxico did for Eli Manning, Sanchez, if he's not 100% on with his passes and they're going to Burrows, he's going to make plays that maybe balls aren't going to get caught by, normal-sized receiver. I mean, basically, he towers over almost everybody in camp, and I was very surprised at how big he is.
He really does.
Hey, they signed another guy. Can you tell us anything about this guy, Scales? He's a 6'4" wide receiver.
The guy that they signed today, you mean?
Yeah.
Nah, you know what? I saw him briefly today. He didn't get too many reps in the scrimmages. I just think it's another body out there. Maybe it's too early to tell. Maybe some practice squad material. But there's a guy named Michael Campbell, number 84, that you really should watch in the preseason. The kid could play, unfortunately, I think it's a numbers game, and he's just not going to be able to fit the roster too many receivers. But I do think he'll make the practice squad. And getting to receivers, last year they carried two fullbacks, which is very unusual. Now, I don't know how they're going to really fill out their roster, but they're not going to keep two fullbacks this year. But I can see them keeping an extra wide receiver because if you have Holmes 1, I'm going to put Mason 2, Platts 3, Curley 4. I think Patrick Turner is your fifth receiver. There's a kid named Logan Payne out of Minnesota that's opened a lot of eyes in camp, and this is his second year with the team. And if he has a good preseason and he can play some special teams, I do think because of Mason's age, and because you really don't know about Plax, he was away from the game for 2 years, they might be tempted to keep six receivers, and I think they will.